Hey, everybody. Hey, Thin Texters, non-Thin Texters alike. Hope everyone is doing great on this fine Monday morning. Today, we're going to talk about how to travel sanely, at least if that's a desire of yours. And we'll get into that in a minute. I'm curious, has everyone seen the Billy Joel documentary? There's this terrific two-part Billy Joel documentary. And if you haven't seen it, it's really worth watching because he's one of these institutions in our country, right? He's one of these guys that when he's gone, we're going to say, even if we haven't thought about him in 20 years, I miss that guy. He was part of the background music. He was part of the soundtrack of my life. And I miss him, even though he was not an everyday presence. So the reason I'm thinking of Billy Joel right now is because I'm putting together this morning, I'm thinking about this live today on the subject of travel. And I got one thought that's repeating in my head. Some folks like to get away, take a holiday from the neighborhood. Okay, I won't subject you to too much more of that, but that's what I'm thinking. And some folks do like to do that, especially this time of year. We are now in late August, and this is the time that people like to get in their last hurrah for the summer. We'll be heading into Labor Day soon, and so a lot of people are away or are going away, and that's what brings us to our topic today. All right, staying on track while traveling. Now, before we fully dive in, let me be completely upfront about something. This is not for everyone. What I'm about to say is not for everyone. To some people, traveling is all about the food. It's about the food exclusively. And it's a time to throw caution to the wind and not think about anything and not feel guilty about it. Just enjoy the local fare and go crazy. And whatever happens, happens. And then you'll think about it when you get home. And if that's how you like to play the travel game, go for it. There's no judgment about that. Just you're not going to get anything out of what we're going to talk about today. Today, I'm speaking to the people who want to have a great trip and come home feeling not like they've thrown everything to shit. Or I mix metaphors. Not like everything has gone to shit or they've thrown everything to the wind. They want to come home feeling like all their hard work hasn't been wasted. So let's be honest, travel is tough on routines. There are different time zones. There are weird meal times. There are weird cultures in some places. I mean, if you go to Barcelona, for example, you're a few hours ahead, right, off the bat. And then plus, they're eating at 11 p.m. They're eating dinner. Now, you may or may not do as the Barcelonans do while you're there, but that's part of the culture there, eating late at night. And that's a little different for you. So there are a lot of other challenges. There are limited food options sometimes. Sitting around for hours waiting for a plane or a train or a bus. I think I'm quoting Seuss there. Hotel gyms may or may not exist. Sometimes the things that we have in our normal routines get turned upside down. But here's what I've learned from working with hundreds of clients. The all or nothing approach won't necessarily serve you. The whole idea of, I'm on vacation, so I'm going to eat whatever I want, and then I'm going to pull it all together when I get home. Here's the problem with it, is that we are heading right smack into September, and it's only a couple of months away from the holidays. So if that's the attitude now, going away in the late summer, and then that's the attitude again come the holidays, you can see how these issues can kind of snowball, right? It's hard to get it together. So the better overall strategy, in my opinion, and this is what I counsel my clients to do, is you have to choose what you're okay with when you're away. If you're okay with gaining 2 pounds, then gain 2 pounds and not 4. If you're okay with gaining 4 pounds, gain 4 and not 7. And a little monitoring won't kill you, especially if you have a hotel gym where you can contact the hotel and say, hey, I'd like a scale in my room. Or you can get a travel scale. You can purchase a travel scale the size of an iPad on Amazon for like $30, right? Again, it depends on how you want to play your particular vacation. And what I am suggesting is to do it consciously, to do it with some volition. Don't let everything just fall where it may. Don't let the chips fall where they may if you don't want to. Okay? Because 5 days of complete abandon can cause a good amount of damage. And the other part about that is that a lot of people live in a very on or off kind of a deal. And these are people who cycle up and down with weight. And if you don't want to be on that hamster wheel, then you have to decide, again, how you want to play this vacation. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about a possible game plan. It starts out before you leave, depending on where you're going. So in this case, we're not necessarily talking about Europe. You might be traveling, going to the Poconos or wherever, somewhere within the United States. But even if you are going to Europe, you can pack a travel survival kit. If you could find relatively healthy protein bars, non-soy based protein bars, maybe some nuts. There are various things that you can have. Now, you could bring those with you. All right. So this way, you're not as likely to make a desperate food choice when you're starving and your only options are airport pizza or, snacks at the gas station when you're traveling. You also may want to spend a little time researching the restaurants at your destination. And this way you can better plan where you want to go, what the local fare is, what you can have, how you can do it in a relatively healthy way. Pick a few options. Okay. Now, when people are traveling domestically, sometimes I will counsel them to call local restaurants. I mean, you can do that even if you're not traveling domestically, but to call the restaurants and, to tell them what their needs are if they're on a program, an official program. But that is an option. Or if for people who go to Disney, for example, there may be someone there who's in charge of guest services who can assist you with staying on a healthy plan. They can point out places to you. So a little prep work will go a long way. And I know that some of you might be sitting there thinking, oh, who wants to bother with all this crap? But it doesn't have to be an overwhelming process, right? It's just, again, if you want to support yourself, you don't want to be surprised when you're at your destination. Now, when you're traveling, airport and flight days are where people often blow it. Again, you're sitting around, you have nothing with you, you have to eat whatever they have there. That's the problem in a lot of these situations, is that you're a captive audience. So there are some things that you can do there. You can bring an empty water bottle, or you can obviously purchase water there. But the idea is, if you're dehydrated, then that can make you feel hungry and cranky. So if you have some water and maybe a little snack like we talked about, you might do better. Airports. If you're stuck in airports, and by the way, that's not uncommon, is it? People get stuck in airports all the time. But you can actually walk in the airport. It's not a bad idea. Some airports actually have walking paths, and they're marked with distances. It's like being a mall walker. You can be an airport walker. Your flight's delayed, instead of getting all pissed, walk around. Enjoy the sights. That's bonus time. While you're on the flight, choose aisle seats if you can, get up and move around every hour. Okay, that will help with post-travel bloat. Little known fact is that traveling will put a couple of pounds on you just traveling in an airplane, and sometimes in a car for people who are really prone to inflammation from being idle. But an airplane is known for that. I always have to warn my clients so they don't get all panicky. You know, you will have a little bloat, and walking around is a good idea. It's a good idea for another reason also, because some people will get what they call a thrombus if they're on an airplane, and walking around can help prevent that. So for a lot of reasons, good idea. Get up when you're on the airplane, take a little walk. All right. When you are at the hotel, not a bad idea to request a mini refrigerator when you check in. Now, some of these things that I'm suggesting will also save you money. If you get a little refrigerator, then obviously you can store leftovers. You can put in healthy snacks for yourself. You can go to local grocery stores. All right. So this is a strategy whereby you can eat healthfully. You can have more control over what you're eating, and you might be able to save a few bucks. Grab some Greek yogurt, some fruit, pre-cooked chicken strips. You can get those almost anywhere these days. But having that option in your room can be a game changer. When you are at your destination, a lot of obviously hotels and resorts, they do have gyms. You can take advantage of those. One of the nice things about traveling is obviously you can do a lot of walking. When I used to run, it was so great to travel because what a great place to go see the sights. Just to run. You run for an hour, and you can go relatively far, and you can see some things. I mean, I have great memories of doing that in Jerusalem, for example. What a wonderful way to see things. Okay. And obviously, walking is part of the vacation. Usually some people, are always in these vans, the guided tours. But if you do not have a plan to walk during vacation, not a bad idea to take some time to do it. All right. Let's talk about restaurants. How do we navigate restaurants? Well, this is where most people struggle. So the main thing that you probably want to do, again, is depending upon how you're playing your vacation. But you want to arrive at a restaurant not starving. So it's not a bad idea to have a small snack first. That is okay. And, all too often, if you're traveling and you're walking around during the day, or, you're laying by the beach and not eating anything, you're saving it all up for this huge meal at night. But if you don't want to be starving and just, scarf everything in front of you at the restaurant, then it might not be a bad idea to do a little snacking before you go to eat. It's a funny thing. I wish I had a percentage on this. I wish I had some studies, but I know from observation, from speaking to people, there are a certain percentage of people who are less likely to eat poorly while they're on vacation. And I happen to be in this group. The reason is because while you're on vacation, you're being fed by the environment, whether it's a beautiful beach or whether it's, the Parthenon or the Colosseum or wherever you happen to be, the Great Wall of China. I mean, you're first of all, you're not around your stressors. Most of your stressors are at home. You'll bring a bunch with you, right? But it's not like, everywhere you look, there's a stressor that's just sitting there, something that needs to be handled. And you're busy doing things that are novel and that are changing your environment, your mindset, your perspective. So I would advise people to take advantage of this phenomenon that can really happen. Okay, be fed by the environment. And when your entry comes, depending on where you are, some places you go have very big food. There's no law that says that you have to eat it all. You can ask for half a plate, or, as soon as you get it, you could ask for a go-to box, especially if you're staying in a hotel and you have that refrigerator there. Another phenomenon that we see, and I think everyone's going to relate to this, if you go to an all-you-can-eat, if you go to an all-inclusive, and if you have the alcohol package that's included as well, then you might really be screwed, because there's this phenomenon whereby people have to get their money's worth. God forbid you should pay what you paid and not get your money's worth. And that could lead to some pretty bad things. I remember being at a hotel traveling one time, and there was a buffet. They had a phenomenal buffet. And man, if I had $1 for every mile I walked from my table to that buffet and back, I would be a very wealthy man. So be aware of that phenomenon there, about the idea of, an all-inclusive and having to get your money's worth. So here's the biggest game changer. The biggest thing that you need to keep in mind is, as always, mindset. I said it twice. You don't have to be perfect while you're on vacation, obviously. You certainly don't have to be perfect 100% of the time while you're on vacation. But if you make better choices 60% of the time, that is probably better than going into a state of, well, screw it, I can't do anything anyway. Unless that's what you consciously decide. Do you understand? Nothing about this is judgment. Nothing about this is bad or wrong. It's all just a decision about how you want to play it. So what I'm saying is be congruent. If your conscious decision is to, just go all out, then don't worry about it and do your thing and go all out and have fun. If your conscious decision is not to go all out, is not to play it that way, is to rein it in, then take these steps. Now, remember also, when you're traveling, we have a problem, I think, as Americans. We lose focus, or we change focus. It's something they call mission creep, right? You start out with one mission, and then it shifts to something else. The perfect example of this is the holidays. I will be preaching about this in a couple of months, because the holidays, when we get into the holiday season, it's supposed to be, and again, this sounds like, when I say preach, I don't mean to preach from a judgmental place, right? But the holidays are supposed to be about connecting with your family, connecting with religion and spirituality, right? That's what it's supposed to be about. And yet, look what it morphs into. It morphs into spending a load of money on gifts, for example. It morphs into being stressed out. It morphs into all these other things that it's not supposed to be. And traveling could be like that as well. Traveling is about experience. Well, not for everyone. This is my thing. Traveling is about experiences, and it's about memories. It's about the people you're with and the people that you meet. And food should be a part of that, because you get to be exposed to different kinds of foods. And that is definitely a part of the experience. And there are some things that you're probably not going to want to miss out on. And that's fine. And fortunately, if you're going someplace like Europe, although they're more obsessed with food there, they're less obsessed with eating. And the food is healthier there. And you do tend to walk a lot. So there are some things in your favor. But let's not forget that focus. If you're going to experience and to learn and to create memories and, to get your picture taken on a camel with the pyramids in the background, and I use that example because I have that very picture, then that's what your focus should be on. And the food will add to that experience. And the whole thing doesn't have to be about the food. Okay, so I just wanted to get that. Hopefully, you can take what I'm saying and internalize it and do with it what you will. And it's kind of like raw material for you to work with. Try the local specialties. if your stomach can handle it. Don't go too crazy on the fromage. All right. I have had some people actually come back from vacation having lost weight. And it's a remarkable thing. And the most remarkable thing that really taught me a lot years ago was one of my clients who went on vacation while she was on the program. She wanted to do the program while in Hawaii. I think it was Maui. And she did remarkably well. She enjoyed the local fare there, but she did it according to the rules of the program. And she lost a lot of weight, a lot more than she was losing here, being away from all of her stressors, her job and her kids and what have you. So that's the good news, right? I mean, one of the wonderful parts of traveling and of vacation is that automatic kind of mindset shift that often happens, is that you're literally changing your perspective. You're literally seeing different things. And it's an opportunity to just consider how you live and how others live and, make those comparisons. And you might find yourself wishing to live wherever you visit, right? You go to Hawaii. Hey, what's stopping me from moving to Hawaii and being a beach bum? And then the next year you go to Paris. Hey, I can dig this, sitting in a cafe all day and, munching on some bread and fromage. And that's just part of the joy of traveling. So I want you to enjoy that. But I want you to do it consciously. Decide what you want. If you do not want to gain weight while you are traveling, you don't have to. There's no law that says you do. And if you need any help, if you need any assistance, then speak to me. All right. You're always welcome to contact me one way or the other. Okay. That's it for this week. Have a terrific week, and I will speak to you next week.